Monday, everybody. This is your girl, Christal Jordan, and we are here with another Monday night recap. I said, it's cuffing season, and I think that's why OWN has Ready to Love right in the midst of cuffing season. You guys hear my voice has still not come back, but I'm here and I'm excited. I see some of you guys are already here waiting for tonight's guest. Now, we saw her leave on Friday, and actually, if you guys watched, we talked about it during the recap on Friday. So she's here. She's ready to talk about her experience and to give us her side of the story. Please help me welcome the very beautiful Carrie to Reality Check. Welcome, Carrie.
Hi. Hey, everybody.
How are you? I love the fact that you're wearing a crown.
This is actually, Libba gave this to me on Elimination Day when they aired the show to remind me that I am a queen and I am worthy because she is awesome like that. So I decided to wear it.
Nice. Okay.
Yes.
You know what? I noticed that both you and Libba and Tyrone, I believe Tyrone, not Tyrone. Oh my gosh, my brain is slipping. But one of the guys that is gone. You guys all three had been married before.
Yes.
And I wonder if you feel like there's any connection between being married before, maybe you have a little bit more maturity under your belt. Maybe you're not, like I was texting you on Instagram, maybe you're not really here for the games,
right.
like some stuff. Do you think that had anything to do with you guys' outlook on the show?
I believe that might be some of the reason, absolutely. Because I came on the show with real intentions. It wasn't to play games. So if I smelled like you were trying to play games, I was like, okay, look, I ain't got time for all this. We're going through a lot to have gone through this process, and I wasn't really trying to be on there for the foolery. So, I definitely, I didn't feel like I was more mature than some people, but I'm very direct.
Yes.
And I definitely know what I want and what I desire. So I verbalize, I'm a communicator. I've been through some shit, so it's just like, I just don't have time. I don't have time.
Yeah. Well, we got that from you from the very beginning. From the very beginning.
My crown fell off.
Very beginning. So tell us, before we get into Ready to Love, I'd like to hear how you got there. What was your journey kind of leading up to the show? So how long had you been single, and what made you decide to, join the show?
I've been single for about 5 years, single and dating. Previous of me being on the show and before moving to DC 5 years ago, I was, I take that back. I was probably single for about 6 or 7 years. Okay. But previous of that, I was actually engaged. I was in a 9-year relationship. Oh. So, moving to DC, I purposely made sure to kind of do the work on myself, and make sure I'm in a good place mentally, spiritually, physically, all of that before I start dating again and putting myself out there. So before the show, I did start dating, and it was a hot doggone mess. I was like, there's a lot of career daters out here. Like, where are the men who actually are really intentionally trying to be in a relationship or develop something that can potentially be marriage or, a long-term relationship? And that's been very difficult in DC, which is very different from me because I'm from Texas. I'm a Southern girl.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved here from Dallas. So previous of moving here, this is the longest I ever been single. Okay. I'm a relationship girl. I've always been in a relationship, and I needed to take that time to just sit still, don't do nothing, and just kind of be by myself. So coming into DC and dating was very different, and everybody is way slower moving as far as being committed than what I'm used to. Because in Dallas, I probably would have been married with 2 kids by now.
Well, you know what? I wonder, because I'm in Atlanta, and everybody says Atlanta is the worst place to date. I've heard people say Houston was a bad place to date. I definitely have heard DC is a bad place to date. I have a girlfriend that lived in DC for a long time, and I'd go visit her, and she had, issues dating, and then she moved to LA, and people said, oh, for Black women, LA is a horrible place to date. But she ended up finding her soulmate there. So I wonder, do you think that the age difference has anything to do with it? Because I know for me, I moved to Atlanta. I was married. I got married super young. So dating in your 30s, mid 30s, and 40s is different anywhere. So do you think that played in a part of it at all? You being a different, kind of in a different age bracket in DC?
Absolutely. People, honestly, it's kind of raggedy across the board. I just think it's how it is now. It's just raggedy across the board. It could be Dallas, California, Houston. Yeah. I'm kind of hearing the same stories from multiple women. It's definitely difficult. And as you get older, it's more difficult. And I think it's because we know better. I think because when we're younger, you're kind of like, oh, he's cute. We're having fun. That's good enough. Let's be in a relationship, So when you're older, you know the red flags, what you're willing to tolerate, what's not going to work for you personally. So I'm not quick to just jump into anything, even though the show tried to make it seem like I was thirsty. I'm not.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
But
we're going to get into that.
Yes. But yeah, I'm just more careful, and I try to be more mindful, and I'm very observant when it comes to energy, and I listen to what you're saying versus what you're, and also what you're doing. So it's a lot of things that you have to consider when you're wanting someone as your mate or as the person that you want to build life with. And there's levels to it. It does not need to move fast. And that's something I learned as I got older, because I was a fast mover. I was one of those people who would dive in head first. Yeah. And now I'm just like, you know what? Like, I have questions, I have concerns, and I'm not feeling, let me move to the left.
I can feel that. One of the things I remember from your cast interview is that you mentioned, sometimes when you meet someone, you immediately would start to treat them like, almost like, if you've been married or you were in a long-term relationship, when you meet somebody, you immediately kind of start giving them those perks, because that's what you're used to doing, right?
Correct.
So how did you kind of learn how to slow down? That's difficult.
Yeah, therapy, healing, friends, a support system. I have a father, I have a brother who now I told them, you are involved in my dating life, whether you like it or not. So, because they are good men. So I talk to them as well. And I'm like, am I doing too much? Like, do I need to reel it back? Because I'm naturally a caterer. I'm an empath. A kind person. I lead with love. I like to put a smile on people's face. I like to make them feel good. But you also have to be mindful on who to give that energy to, because people will take advantage of that. And you do have energy suckers. You have energy vampires is what you call them, where they're miserable and they want you around because you make them feel good. And I need to make sure, which that takes time, that person also is going to make me feel good as well. So I definitely had to learn my lesson with that, because yes, I was used to being in a relationship. And after I got out of my relationships, I would treat these men as if they are filling that void of being in a relationship again. It's like, I need to stop, So,
yeah. That's normal though. I had to learn that. I think anybody, even if you've only been in a 2 or 3 year relationship, once you get out, you're not used to like, okay, we're just dating. That means I don't know if I'm going to see you. I have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
That's some adjustment. So what did you think about the show? Because you said you're originally from Texas. So did you watch the foolishness that happened in Houston?
I did. I
What did you
absolutely
think?
did.
What did you think about? What did you think about Houston? And let me ask you this because I forgot to ask Libba, and I know she's in the comments today. And I
Mhm.
want to ask her, and I want to ask you,
Mhm.
who would you guys, when you watched it, because if you signed up, you had to see something that you thought was good, somebody
Yeah.
that you thought, okay, I could go out with him. Who would you have dated from the series, the seasons before?
Um, honestly,
Honestly, yeah, come on now.
probably nobody. Not that
Okay,
anybody wasn't cute. Like,
okay,
not that no one was attractive, because there was some. Like, honestly, I think Mike Bless. I think everybody likes Mike Bless from the Atlanta season. He is
yeah.
a beautiful man. Very good looking. So I think he's attractive. You know, I can't get. I know faces, but names. So he got eliminated pretty early. It's not Ron, but he was one of the guys with a beard.
It was last season.
It was last season, and he was talking with Joy and them at a table, and he kind of got in his feelings a little bit. But I actually started following him on Instagram. We started following each other, and I think he's attractive. Like, I think he's cute. If I live in Houston, I might let him take me for a drink or whatever.
We need to pull up his name.
I don't remember his name. I feel so horrible because I know he's on Instagram.
What's his Instagram? Give us his Instagram, then I can look at it and know.
Instagram name. Hold on, let me look at my messages. Hold on.
So you said he left early from last season.
Yeah, he was one of the guys who left a little early.
I'm about to just run through these names in a minute now.
You can run through the names. You can run through the names. I mean, he's cute. I felt like he got eliminated too early because I didn't think it was really fair why he got eliminated, and I think it's just more so he kind of reacted in a way that the women didn't really like. But after following him on Instagram, I was like, I think he just had a moment on TV.
Okay. Libba says she thinks it's Dietrich. Is it?
No, it's not Dietrich.
Because he was on for a while. We'll have to go back and find this person. I got to go on with the interview. Now I'm stuck. Yes. I'm like, I want to go find who this person is. I thought there are always attractive men on the show. They had a lot of attractive men on last season.
Right.
But I'm assuming that when you watch it the seasons before, you like something about the show and you think, you know what, this would be a good idea, or maybe I'll meet somebody.
Right. So I was a fan of the show, a huge fan of the show. Me and my girlfriends had a full girlfriend chat that we would discuss the show. We had watch parties. Like, I was a huge fan of the show. I'm not great with names, so don't think I'm not a fan because I don't know names. I'm just never good with names. I know faces. But so when we found out they were coming to DC, I didn't know, but my best friend just immediately sent me the app. She was like, you need to apply. I was like, what? And after she sent that, my other girlfriends were like, Carrie, you need to try out for the show because you would be a great fit, and we know that you're ready for love. So they're going to do the footwork for you. Go ahead and go for it. So I did. I tried out for the show, and I did not think that I would be considered as a castmate. I just didn't think so. Not that I don't look good enough or don't have a great background. It's just there's thousands and thousands of women that apply for this, and this is DC, so you have a lot of quality women out here, which I know I consider myself a quality woman, but you just don't know what's going to happen. So when I was offered, when they told me that they wanted me to be on the show, I was actually very excited, but I was extremely nervous because I had no idea what I was coming into. I've never done TV. I wasn't interested in being a celebrity or a reality star, public figure. That was not my reasoning. It literally was hopes to eventually find my husband or my mate, and that was the point of me even considering to be on the show. So that's what happened.
Okay. That's fair. Because a lot of people, I think it's kind of split between people that want to find love and are hopeless romantics, or people that really want to be on TV. Right. And that's
correct.
It's a lot of people that want that. So I don't know. I don't know that either is wrong, but I can relate more to the people that are hopeless romantic because I don't know. I just think that, if you really believe in love, you're always hoping it will come some kind of way. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And that was what was kind of difficult for me during the process, because I was genuine and my intentions were pure, and you can smell an opportunist from afar. So it's like, you could tell by the conversation. You could tell by what was being said, their actions, how they acted in front of cameras versus off camera. So you kind of could feel. So the people who were doing that, because the show didn't show this, but I absolutely made other connections. I conversed with other men.
Let's go to when you first got there. So you get there, there's a mixer. There's a lot of women. I mean, a lot of guys, a lot of women. Who were you initially attracted to? Who did you have, an initial connection with that we may not have seen from that very beginning?
Okay, so when I first walked in, the first person that I thought was attractive, I did think Cornelius was attractive. And when I first walked in, I think he was the only one who that I noticed was like, okay, he's cute, The person who I actually connected with the most that evening was Phil. Like, me and Phil chatted. When I first saw him, he had on glasses in his jacket, so I couldn't really see him. And then he took his glasses off, and I thought his face was very handsome when he started talking. I thought he had a very nice voice. So I actually, me and Phil conversed a few times, and I thought that he was very attractive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So after the first initial mixer, how are you feeling? How are things going? Things that we may not have seen, because I'm going to play this. I want to play the clip in a minute, but I want to build up to how we got there.
Okay.
How did we get
there? Okay. So at the mansion scene, the two people who I did connect with was Tyrone and Phil. Okay. So me and Tyrone, the conversation that he had with Zadia on his date with her is the same type of conversation he had with me. He opened up with me about his healing, his PTSD, everything I had been through emotionally and mentally. And I really respected that, and which helped me to be more open and vulnerable to him. And I appreciated that Tyrone quickly went to a vulnerable state when we sat down. How we even started talking was, I noticed him kind of fidgeting. He looked nervous. So, and honestly, when I first saw Tyrone, I wasn't necessarily physically attracted to him. Okay. What my attraction was when we sat down and started talking, that's when I was like, okay, he seems like a very open person, which made me feel open as well. But he was like fidgeting and he looked nervous. And I was like, well, come, you should come sit down with me and let's talk. And he was like, he sat down and I was like, I noticed that you were kind of like fidgeting your feet. You seemed a little nervous. And he was like, oh, it's crazy that you noticed that, because he goes into, I have anxiety, I have PTSD, all this stuff. Now, usually, in the normal dating world, I'll probably run, not run, but I'll be like, okay, this is not someone who I would want to date, because these are some things that he has going on. Right. But, I wanted to be open, and I wanted to have a different mindset. So was open to getting to know Tyrone. So me and him chatted, and I also talked with Phil for a few times, and I felt very comfortable quickly with Phil. I talked to Frank. As I said on my commentary, I love Frank's voice, and I liked his style. I didn't really get to talk to Walter. We talked briefly, but it wasn't warm butterflies and everything that flew out, when we talked. It was very just surface. So there was like a lot of surface discussions, which I didn't necessarily judge people off the bat for that, because I wasn't opening up to everyone either, you have cameras all in your face and you're overthinking what you're saying. So I read people's energy and I get comfortable off of people's energy. So the two people who made me the most comfortable to be more open was Tyrone and Phil. Everybody else was kind of like, it was very surface. It was very talking about what they do for a living and not really looking me in the eyes. It just didn't feel like we were connecting. Not the first night, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to play the clip, and then we're going to talk about how, because I can respect that. And it seemed like we didn't see you guys initially connect, but it seemed like by the time this happened, you really felt like you guys were maybe in a different place than he was. But it's interesting. So let's play the clip and let's talk about what happened.
I feel like it'll be uncomfortable, but I feel like everything after that will just be growth.
Okay.
Right? So I like the fact that you showed genuine interest in me, right? So then a lot of things just started to go downhill with the aggressiveness and
let me know about the aggressive.
Okay, let me explain.
Okay. When he said you came at me aggressively, I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. Okay, well, let me have his moment because he's obviously uncomfortable.
At the mixer, towards the end, I did get someone else's number, and like through the corner of my eye, like I can see like a little bit of body language, may have looked like disappointment. Okay. And I started to notice some things about you and how you show your feelings. To me, it just kind of made me uncomfortable.
Let's go back to you saying the aggressive part, because I don't like that word.
Okay.
I showed interest in you.
Okay.
It wasn't aggressiveness. Just like Shiloh gave you her number, it's the same way I gave you my number. So it's the same thing.
Okay.
But I didn't feel any type of way because I already knew she liked you.
Okay.
You can keep talking.
Yeah. And then you asked me about my date, 12:30 that night. I get the text from you, question, ... Are you still interested? So I see it the next morning. I don't have that answer first thing in the morning, but I just felt like there's really no good time to say that I like more people than you.
Okay. Was
that hard for y'all to watch?
Well, it's hard. Well, I mean, that's a hard conversation.
Yeah.
But I actually commend Tyrone for doing it because I think, I'll be honest with you, and you guys, the comments, are coming, and you guys, please keep the comments coming and let us know what you think. But when you're on the dating show, when you're dating in real life, I'm with the ghosting. I'm sorry. I'm a ghoster.
Yeah.
I don't like the confrontation.
Right.
If I slide away, and I got a girlfriend who's on here, she is not a ghoster. She will tell people I don't want to go out with you again because blah 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 blah. And I think I'm always like, eek, but it works. It's probably the right thing to do. But I was a ghoster. But and I've been ghosted before. But whenever a guy kind of pulls away, I just assume he's not into me, and that's okay. And just like I'm not into other people. So the fact that he was doing the mature thing and saying, okay, I don't like this behavior. I commend that. And that's my girlfriend is saying, the one who is very honest about how she feels is saying there was nothing commendable about that scene. Tell us, because all we saw was a very short clip.
Yeah.
So tell us how that happened and why you feel he felt the way he did.
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Tyrone and I, we had that one connection at the mansion, right? So this is a few weeks in. We had the happy hour, and people were starting to date. Me and Tyrone were texting. We talk on the phone sometimes. So we were trying to get to know each other.
Okay.
So that's where we were at, getting to know each other. I'm also talking to Phil almost every day. So in the morning, at night, I'm talking to probably him and Phil the most out of the men as far as conversing. I started to feel Phil. I was liking Phil, and I wanted to make sure where to place my energy.
Okay.
So Tyrone, I really hadn't communicated with him that much. So the reason why when he said you reached out to me at 12:30 in the morning saying, are you interested? My point of sending that text message was just to see where we stood, basically where to place my energy. It wasn't because I was feeling insecure and, I want to know if you still like me. It was because I was starting to like someone else and I knew that we were conversing. So I wanted to see where to place my energy. So when that happened, we were all just kind of going on our dates. We were kind of just doing our thing. He reached out the next day and he was like, hey, no, can you Facebook or can I call you? And I said, sure. So we talked on the phone and he's like, no, I absolutely still feel a connection with you. We have been starting to talk to other people, so I need to be mindful on making sure I continue my connection with you. And in that discussion, I made sure for him to understand there was no pressure on my end. I'm really just trying to do just a check-in to see where we both stand, if we're both interested in still getting to know each other. And he said, no, absolutely. That, I still want to get to know you and I still feel there's a connection there, blah, blah, blah. So I left it at that. There was nothing in that conversation that made me feel it was an opposite feeling, So
let me ask you something though, just to be fair. If somebody texts you at 12:30 a.m. Asking, are you still interested? How would you take that?
Well, we were already talking during that time. So sometimes we would talk at 12:30. Sometimes it wasn't something that was just out of the blue and I would just start communicating with him and I just all of a sudden just sent him a text. This week, these were conversations that were being built up. That's just how we talked. So probably seemed a little out of the blue or weird to people outside, but it was just, there was a build up to this. It wasn't me just kind of pulling stuff, being crazy and texting him at 12:30 in the morning. Are you still interested? But so when he reached out the following morning and we had the conversation, he said, no, I absolutely said that. A few hours later, he calls and he says, actually, I don't feel like I have a connection. I'm not interested. I wish you the best of luck. Good luck with everything. So I couldn't really have a conversation with him from that because I was with my mom. I couldn't really go into it. So I was like, okay, well, understand. We hung up. And as time passed, I sent him a text. I'm like, I'm just a little confused because from the morning versus now, I'm just curious on what changed, how you had a change of heart from the morning versus now. And he said, well, word around the streets that people are trying to make people give ultimatums. And I feel like you're trying to make me give you an ultimatum. And I said, that is absolutely not what I was trying to do. I literally am just doing a check-in and just basically just trying to communicate with you. He left me on ice. He didn't say anything past that text. I didn't say anything either. So we're fast forwarding to deliberation scene where, I'm telling the girls what happened and y'all didn't hear the beginning to the end, but I told them beginning to the end what happened. And that's where you see the faces like, I'm confused. What the hell? Like morning, like what happened within those few hours? So then Shiloh says, hey, I talked to him. He said he can only juggle 3 versus the 4 women. And I'm like, that wasn't said to me. And then Zadia said the same thing. So he told Zadia, he called both of these women and left me on ice to let them know how he felt. But he didn't say anything to me. That's where I didn't understand because I wasn't being pushy or aggressive. It really was I'm just a communicator, and I was also trying to be mindful and try to also not be a bitch and like be like, bye nigga, I like this person over here. So bye, that really was what I was trying to do. So I felt like that he mishandled me, and that's why we were having that conversation. It wasn't because I was trying to talk him into talking to me or, oh, why don't you want me or why don't you want to connect with me? It really was you're calling 2 other women, telling them something else. You're telling me something else when all you could have just been like, I'm interested in somebody else, and just do your thing. We're all going through the process. We're all trying to get to know people. And I'm a communicator. That's just how I am. But it really wasn't a need to treat me that way. And that's why we were having that discussion. And when he was going into, now it's ultimatum, now you couldn't juggle women, now I'm aggressive, you know, now I was jealous because you got somebody else's number. And it was just all these things that he was throwing at me that I felt like was not my character, and that was very wrong. And he assumed a lot of things, saying that I was jealous that you gave Shiloh your number, or you guys exchanged numbers. Minutes before that, he saw me give Cornelius my number. Everybody was exchanging numbers. So that's why I was like, that you read that energy completely wrong. I never even said anything or even gave him an eye. Like,
so that scene that we saw where you were standing there, you did look a little awkward when he was giving his number. That you think he misread that?
That wasn't even the scene. That was not what he was talking about. That was actually at the mansion, and we're all just talking. I hadn't even really talked to him yet. So me looking awkward is just because I'm just it was an awkward time, right? An awkward type of situation, but that wasn't initially what happened. Yeah.
So the interesting thing about this show is that everybody has different ways of dealing with multiple people. Yeah. Which is why I always joke with people on here, I would never go on the show because I know I would definitely mess that up. I've messed it up before. I've messed that up before horribly, trying to date multiple people. That's just kind of my MO. But I wonder, let me ask you this. How would you have preferred him move on in his connection? Because this plays out in the show all the time, and I'm sure it always will. It's why we enjoy watching, because we see connections and then we see someone else connect with somebody else. But we know that there's 10 men and 10 women. Ultimately, where you may think you have a great connection with a guy, you may have a connection with someone else. And it's just, you really have to have a really strong sense of self and a really good understanding of what this is. So I just wonder from you, what would you have preferred him to do in choosing to move on? If he did.
He could have just been on, like from the morning conversation, what made it seem odd is just the change up from within a few hours. That's why it was like it was a cause for pause. When we had that conversation that morning, he sounded so, oh, well, no, I feel like there's a connection. And I told everybody about you. And he just kind of went above and beyond on trying to let me know he still felt like there was this connection. And then hours later, it was a very different tone. So if he would have told me just within that conversation, hey, you know, I'm feeling other people. I'm still not sure. I'm just kind of doing me. What, you know, I would be like, okay, bet, that's fine. I wasn't looking for him to pick me. I was literally just trying to know where to place my energy because I am a communicator. So honestly, someone like me, this probably wasn't a good fit for a woman like me. And that's why when the elimination happened, it kind of sucked, but the way that I move, the way that I communicate, how I expect to be treated, it just wasn't fitting for a woman like me, which is okay. You know, I really don't necessarily think Tyrone did anything wrong. I think it was just a personality difference. I think it was a communication difference. I think his view of what aggressive is not my view of what aggressive is. You know,
I agree. That word triggered like half the country, half the black country, and the other. I didn't get triggered, but I think for me, I've learned that I can't interpret how someone else experiences me, right? So there could be some guys that feel like, you know, I'm distant, I'm cold. Other guys think I'm too. I mean, I can't say that you're wrong or I'm not, because that's your definition of how you experience me. So if I received a text message from a guy and we're talking and he asked me point blank, are you interested? Are you still interested? I would be like, oh, shit.
Well, this is also, you have to also understand that this is a ready to love dating show.
Right.
So the way that you communicate has to be direct. You don't
Right.
want to, we have a very, very small window of time to get to know each other, nor do we really have time to waste. So
Yeah.
I don't usually do that. I don't usually be like, are you interested in me? That's just not how I am. But my approach is very different on how I was communicating with the men on here, just because we don't have a lot of time to try to get to know people. And you really don't want to waste your time with someone who's not interested. So
Yeah.
I was just trying
just
to
saying that he may have experienced that as aggressive.
Right, and that's okay. But it's triggering for me as a Black woman. Being called aggressive. The definition of that is forceful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not forcing you to do anything.
Right.
And my approach has not been forceful. I love being a woman. I'm a feminine woman. I'm not a masculine woman. I don't consider myself I'm alpha in some ways, but I'm definitely more of a feminine woman. So I try to be soft with my approach, but I am a communicator and I am direct. So when you use the term aggressive, for me, my definition of aggressive is absolutely not who I am. And that's why I was like, wait a minute, like,
I think that
what aggressive is,
that term is triggering.
Yeah.
Daryl said that for a lot of us, because that is used as a negative trait.
Yeah.
But I think that we also have to detonate that term. Like, we have to not be. I'm not speaking to you. I'm really speaking to the comments, because there's so many Black women in the comments that are saying, "Oh, that was a trigger," but it is. It can't be. If somebody's explaining their truth can't be constantly a trigger for us. Yeah, that's my opinion. We have to get past the point where we're like, oh, that's a trigger. But if that's how he felt, that's how he felt, and that's okay. But
I'm going to correct it. I'm absolutely going to correct it, because if you can explain and say that you feel like that, what you're doing and how you're doing it is aggressive, but his explanation was me asking for a number. His explanation, because when I said, can you explain to me the aggressiveness? I don't understand. I needed him to elaborate a little bit more, so maybe I can correct my behavior. Yeah. Or maybe I'm doing something that I don't know I'm doing that's coming off as aggressive. But I feel
that could be.
Yeah. But I feel like when women who are assertive and are direct, they're being viewed as aggressive. When women are being outspoken, but when a man does it, he's looked at as a leader, as a boss. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a little bit of a double standard. And until that is corrected, I think that is a trigger for Black women, especially Black women, because when we hear aggressive, we also hear she got an attitude, in which a lot of men, specifically Black men, seem to have this issue with Black women when we're speaking our minds, or if we're not coming off a certain way, then it's viewed as a negative. And unfortunately, that's how society has put us in this category. And we've been working really hard to try not to be put in that box. So yes, when it's being said and you're talking to me as if, I'm being aggressive, and that's not my intention. So that's why we had a discussion. But honestly, after the discussion, we checked for understanding. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I hear your point of view. He hears my point of view. We held hands, we sipped, and we gave each other a hug. So me and Tyrone are actually cool. Like, I have no issue with Tyrone, but our personalities and, Tyrone even explained that he's not good with conflict. So I don't
That's perfect. So that explains it. He's not good with conflict.
Right.
He has anxiety. Somebody holding him to the fire is going to feel uncomfortable, i.e. aggressive. That's it. Like, it's not. And I just think that, yes, everything you said was true. There's gender equality, inequality. There's racial inequality. But at the end of the day, we just have to be who we are, right? And it's like, I don't think that every time a person says something, it's a part of a long diatribe of like, oh, well, this is how Black women are seen. It's not always that way. Sometimes he is not a person that likes to be held to the fire.
Right.
So he didn't mean it in the way that a lot of people took it. He probably didn't mean it the way that you took it. And I'm sure you didn't mean what you did the way that he did. And I think with dating on this show, we see people misinterpret each other's words and actions over and over and over again. So I just wanted to ask you that just so we aired that out. We should go over that. Now, now you went home. I think it was amazing. That liver baby, that crown, that was so super. So tell us, if you can, who were you? Well, obviously Phil. Phil is very cute. Is there anybody else that you wish from your season that you had a chance to kind of get around to having a conversation with before you left?
Honestly, not really. And the reason why I say this is because I have gotten to know pretty much everybody at this point. Like, we are close, we hang out with each other. And even after getting to know a lot of the men, I don't feel like there's a romantic connection with any of them. I do think I understand why they were on Ready to Love. I think they are amazing men. They're beautiful. I think they are very good looking. They have amazing personalities. But as far as me and what I'm looking for as far as a mate or a partner, there's no one that I have like necessarily romantic feelings for. And also, like, I love, and not that any of them aren't alpha males, because I'm sure they are, but for me, I like an alpha male. Like, I like being pursued, and I feel like if a man is interested, definitely, step up and say something. That's just, I'm a traditionalist in that way. So during that process, I didn't feel desired by anybody. I really didn't feel comfortable to feel like I could be sexy. Like, some of people in comments were like, oh, she's so uncomfortable. She's not sexy. She's not this. I actually am. I could be very sexy with the right person. But for me, I never felt that level with anyone. And I didn't feel desired by anyone where I could be my flirty self, It felt very friendly. And I'm not a fake and phony person either. So I'm not an actress. So there's cameras in my face. I can't turn it on and be like, oh yeah, so I think you're so like, that is not me. That is not me. I don't be rubbing on people and that's just not who I am. Unless you give me 5 to 6 shots of tequila, you might see that part, but
you may have seen some other things.
Yes. But I was extremely sober on an empty stomach. We was high, so I didn't have that feeling for someone. So I can't say that they got it wrong with my elimination. I can't say that.
Going home. Well, I think it's so sweet. Your older sister is here, and she has your back. She's like, that's my baby sister. That's so cute that she's supporting you and that she's on. So tell us, you mentioned that nobody it wasn't a good fit. So give us 5 characteristics that Carrie is looking for in a mate, or Carrie wants in a mate. We know that Nick finds us, but I try to keep my comments as liberal as possible, because trust me, they'll be like, no, Christal, I'm a liberated one. I'm gonna find my man. Okay, cool. I'm just saying, what 5 characteristics are non-negotiable to you in a partner, in a future spouse?
I definitely want someone who is a good communicator. That's very important. Someone who has done the work to heal, who's very sure of themselves. And I say that because I've gone through the therapy, I've done the healing. So I really need you to be sure of what you desire and what you want, and that you've gone through the healing and have really worked on yourself as a man. I also want someone who is confident, of course, spiritual man. I do believe in God. I'm a woman of God. So I want me and my man, when we're going through a hard time, I want us to pray together, someone who has a positive outlook. Even when there's a bad day, that he's going to, speak positivity in my dull days, and also someone who has a great sense of humor, because I love laughing. I have somewhat of a dry sense of humor, but I'm also, I'm pretty goofy as well. So I want to be able to laugh with my man, keep it light and fun. Also, someone who's good in the bedroom. I'm sorry.
I'm not like that. You better say that.
I'm sorry.
You better be honest,
what
Carrie.
you're doing.
You
have to
better
know what
be
you're
honest
doing.
about that, Carrie.
Yes.
Ma'am. We got to be honest. Women, we have to stand up and be honest because, okay, so what about physicality? What are you attracted to physically?
Physically, I love a fit man. So I do like to work out. I like to go cycling. I'm not perfectly fit, but I do want my man to take care of himself. So I want him to be fit and healthy.
Okay.
I know a lot of women are like, oh, he got to be 6 feet and higher. I'm 5'4". I'm okay with 5'9", 5'10". I do like to wear my heels. So we need to be, at least you need to be at least here when I have my heels on.
Okay.
So I'm okay with my 5'10", let's say 5'10" and up. I'm okay with any shade, like as long as he's black. I love my black brothers. I love my brown black men. Also, I love a good smile, great skin. And also knows how to clean it up because I like to dress real cute, so I want me and my man to walk out looking like I do notice men that know how to dress. I appreciate a man that really puts it takes his time getting dressed, and you can tell, That's one of the things I do love about these cast of men. They be listen, they know how to dress. When they walked into that mansion, I was like, okay, brothers.
Who was dressed? Who did you admire their fit the most?
I have to say, Walter had a nice suit on. He looked really clean. Walter looked good. I liked Corey's outfit. Honestly, when Corey walked in, I noticed him. I thought he looked very nice. He looked very cleaned up until Corey started talking. I love Corey. I love you, Corey. Love you. Until Corey started talking. But I did love the way that he physically looked. He looked great.
Nice. We definitely cannot wait to have Corey on. Christy said she wants everything like we all do. And I do think that since talking to women, we do all have a lot of needs. And they are all alike. We gotta all want the same kind of guy. But that's just women. I'm gonna ask you two questions before I let you go, Carrie.
Okay.
First question is, what did you learn about yourself during this process?
I have to say that I did learn that feeling desired is very important to me.
Nice.
I need you to make me feel wanted. I'm definitely not an alpha female, so for me personally, I don't feel comfortable laying down the map for my man. Like I need you. I find it very sexy when a man comes up to me and says, you know what? I think that you're very attractive. You're extremely beautiful. And I definitely would like to get to know you. Not one man said that to me. Not one man said that to me. And if someone would have said that to me, it would have really just wow. Like I like that he stepped up and he claimed what he wanted. So, I do like feeling desired, and that is something that's important. I'm an empath. So even during this process, I got very close to the women. And when the women were starting to claim who they liked, I found myself, instead of going forward and trying to take them, I backpedaled. Like, I don't want to mess, go ahead, go do you, sis, because I'm a woman's woman. Like, I love women. I want them to win. So it was very difficult for me to try to be challenging against these other sisters that I really liked. So I was kind of glad to be eliminated early so there won't be any bad blood, because I am a woman's woman and none of the men really did it for me to where I just felt like I had to fight for them. So I'm glad to have developed some good friendships through that. So I can't say that I'm super competitive when it comes, and that's probably why I'm still single in DC, because these sisters out here, they super competitive. I be seeing them beeline.
No, I don't think that never works though. Any man that you have to fight for is not going to be your man very long.
I know
somebody else will have more energy, and if you have to fight for him, he really don't want you anyway.
Correct.
But so that's not the case. My next question is, what did you, I commend the fact that you went to therapy. I'm a
Yes.
big advocate of therapy, went to therapy myself.
Yes.
After my divorce, then went back again because some of it didn't take. I had to go back and stay consistent.
Me too, girl.
So what did you learn about yourself that you can share in therapy?
I definitely had a lot of healing I needed to do. So I didn't have like the best example of what a healthy relationship looked like. So when I was married and when I was engaged, I'm not going to point the finger to them and say it was all them because they cheated and that's why our relationship ended. Absolutely not. That was probably the nail in the coffin, but I was difficult. I was insecure. I was jealous. I was not sure of myself. And that's because I didn't do the work. And I also didn't have a good example on what a good, healthy relationship looked like. So when I went through therapy and I went through my healing and I had to look within myself to see, okay, Kheri, evaluate what you did wrong, what needs to be corrected on you to have a successful relationship. That is really where the inner workings I had to do. And that's what I learned by my approach when I'm in a relationship, the way I communicate, supporting your man, speaking life to him. Because I always love my mom to death, but my mom would be like, talking real reckless. And that's what I would bring into my relationships. But now I try to be very mindful on how I speak to the person that I love, and try to lead with love. So, me being kind and me being sweet, that is after therapy. And that's after, building my spiritual life and getting closer to God and knowing that it takes less energy to be this way. I don't want to be ugly. I don't want to be mean. Like, I want to lead with love and I want to feel that from my mate. So, that is what I learned to do. And that is what I am going to do. That's the type of woman I desire to be. So going through therapy has helped me to build this woman that I'm trying to be. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm going to keep going until the day I die. So
I like that. That's beautiful. And I thank you for sharing that, because I think that is a big lesson that you learn as you mature is, okay, I can admit I may not be the woman that I want to be now, but I am going to be that.
Yes.
And we all are in transition. If we're trying to be good people, we're all in transition. Men too.
Yeah.
Men don't always need to know do their work, but men too. So I think that you definitely will be that woman. We see that woman, and you will definitely have. You'll find love. The only part I don't like is when they say you're not ready to love. It's just you're not for anybody there, which is fine. But I appreciate you coming and being patient as we work through that situation with Corey, because most of these situations are not really for the people that went through them, because you guys have already worked through it. You and Corey, you and Tyrone are cool. Y'all finished up for dinner, but that little scene triggered so many people. So many people needed to work through it and hear what happened. And so a lot of it is really for others as opposed to you. So we appreciate you being a guest here early on in the season. We are excited, and this season is interesting. It's always interesting when you see people that have opinions and personalities and are not afraid to speak up. So we commend you, and we're looking forward to hearing the rest of your story. So we would love for you to come back. And come back then. If you can quickly give people your social so they can follow you on social media.
So my social is Kheri_Creole Cutie. That's my IG. And Kheri Carter is my Facebook. On Twitter is Kheri Carter #Ready to Love. And also, me and my sister we have a relationship podcast that we discuss all of our business, including just where we're at in our waiting period. So we do have our discussion every Tuesday. It's called Good Love. It's on Facebook Live. It's on her page at My Lady Lessons. It's also on my page. So we have past shows as well. So yes, that's what we do.
Okay. Well, you guys can definitely check Carrie out. We're going to say goodnight to you and thank you so much.
Thank
Again,
you.
we'll be watching. We'll definitely be looking to see you at the reunion.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's so nice meeting you, Christal.
Nice to meet you. We'll see you again. Thanks,
Yes,
Carrie.
yes. Bye.
All right, you guys, please do not go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. Stay tuned to YouTube. Stay tuned to Facebook. I'm coming right back with Carrington at 9 o'clock. Carrington, we've talked to the women. Now we know Carrington was let go a couple of weeks ago. So we definitely got to hear what Carrington has to say. Was he too young? Was he ready to love? Is it because he was in them streets? Stay tuned. I'll be right back with more back-to-back Ready to Love. It's Own's cuffing season, and we are all the way here for it. I'll see you guys right back here in just a minute. All right?